Uh, it was wonderful. I was hearing Dr. Tripathi and the naturopath doctor previously. In their topic too, they have touched upon a lot on prana and energy medicine. So today's topic, what I'm going to be covering on the emotional health or emotional wellness is a specialized focus on our prana or called as energy medicine by Westerners. So I'd like to just share the screen. Is it visible?
It's visible.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So when we have to focus on the emotional health or for our emotional wellness, what is very important is detoxification of our emotions or emotional detoxification. So what does that mean? I would like to make some radical statements before I start the topic. When all the doctors are there in the panel, mind is the cause of all illness. And that is the key. Gene is only a blueprint. It has no control on a body. Information is not important than awareness. A lot of our Gurukul system or our olden system focused a lot on awareness. Today, it is information world. The defects in the disease is not due to protein defect. It's the signal defect. So what do I mean? What does these mean? Of course, when you go deep into each of this, there's a whole lot of world, and there is an energy medicine revolution which is happening, and I consider that to be the future of medicine. Now, as the doctor mentioned before, all diseases are psychosomatic. Everything begins in the mind. Right from basic small headaches, from backache to chronic lifestyle disorders or dreadful disorders, it all begins from the mind. Now, how do we say that? Now, our body is made up of 50 trillion cells, is it? Each cell, if you look at it as a house. Now, before we occupy a house, generally this empty house should have basic 3 needs. One is the network of good water system. The second is a good drainage system. Third is power system, isn't it? Now, when I ask you all what is more important, generally we feel our knee-jerk reaction is it's water. Now, in our body too, if we consider this 50 trillion cells as each of it is a cell, we could see that our cells are networked very strongly with 3 networks. One is our circulatory system, like the water system. It is exactly like the water system, where the water pumps and the water goes to all the houses. Very similar to that is our circulatory system. And very important, our Westerners have given a lot of importance to this system. Everything we study in pharmacology, mainly in the circulatory system. In the circulatory system, what is very important, what we all know, is the hormone system. Now, this hormone system is the one, although these glands are very small, these glands are the ones which has control on all our organ function in the body. Right from signaling from the brain to the signals going to all the organs to do its work, or our reflexes, our body reflexes, everything is controlled by our hormones. Now, we have given importance to that in the Western system. Now, even like the knee-jerk reaction, where what we had was drinking water is very important, as all of us feel. But the Easterners gave more importance or equal importance to the drainage system, which is our lymphatic system. And this is where our immunity system is controlled. So the lymphatic system is our body's drainage system, which has a lot of control on our hormonal system. Probably almost up to 2014, 16, till the functional medicine concept began, the lymphatic system was not given that importance in the Western system. Now, third system, which is a whole world around that, which we keep mentioning in Ayurveda and yoga as prana, is our nadi system, which is the power system. If you go deep into it, there is a lot. 5 years of MBBS, a lot is studied only on the circulatory system. Now imagine the nadi, which is the core of the other network system, which is a subtle body. That is where the energy medicine begins, or the energy system begins. And what we need to look at is the energy system has a control on the immunity system, and the immunity system has control on our circulatory or the entire hormonal system. That means if we look at the energy network in our body, like our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, be it nervous system, be it skeletal system, be it circulatory system, everything begins from our brain and spine. Likewise, even the prana is, the core of the prana is our brain and spine. So simple pranayama, which we keep talking about, there may be 100 plus types of breathing or prana regulatory systems which are available in our yoga, but simple pranayama is a very simple process where our energy system, at least the basic prana, that is our Ida Pingala and Sushumna Nadi, which are the main nadis, at least Nadi Shodhana happens or the cleansing happens. There are 72,000 meridians or nadis in our body, which has a control, which are called as subtle, which has a control on our entire other circulatory systems in our body or other networks in the body. So that is how the psychosomatic word says that everything begins from our energy. Now, when we say energy, what makes this energy move is our emotions or our thought process. Like in circulatory system, what moves is our blood, it's liquid. In lymphatic system, again, there is a lymph which moves. In our prana, the prana activation or our energy in motion is completely because of our emotions, or it all begins at the thought. Today, when we talk about our emotional health, it is just now emotions when we say, or when we say prana, it may not be physical. It's not gross like the way we can feel or see the other structures in the body. But even, but all the other structures in the body are controlled through these emotions, which emotions or the energy system, which are subtle, or it can be measured through the frequency and vibration. Now, just the thought process, if you look at, if you focus on the kind of thought what goes, just the thought can make us feel the frequency in our body changes. When we are angry, immediately our breath, the breathing changes. When we are very calm, when we are laughing, the breathing changes. That's the kind of effect the thought process has. So in a high energy, for instance, in a high energy person and a low energy person, the way they operate is completely different, because the frequency and the wavelengths at what these people work are very different. So let's say, for example, for instance, high energy person would be very active when he's doing a lot of action. When there are no actions, he might get into an anxiety. It's just the shift of the frequency is where the healthy body and the imbalance, which is an anxiety level, the changes happen. In a low energy person, the person tends to stay healthy or stay calm at a certain frequency. And when there is a disturbance at the thought level or an emotional level, this person can get into depression. So it is only energy play. Now, how does these emotions have an effect on our hormones? If you look at all these 72,000 nadis, when they are divided into two sides, 36,000 and 36,000 on each of the sides, they all crisscross each other and form junctions. And these junctions are like traffic junctions. There's too much of traffic going, and these junctions, when they jam, it can cause problems around that traffic junction, isn't it? Very similarly, when these nadis or meridians crisscross, they form junctions, and these junctions are called as chakras, which we hear about a lot in our Eastern system or in yoga. Now there are seven chakras. So there are about 2,000 plus junctions among, out of the 72,000. Very important ones are 114, out of which the major junctions are the seven chakras. Now, these seven chakras are the subtle body of these 7 major glands. So now the emotions has a control. Now, when there is an emotional jam, if we, let's say we are worried or we are stressed out, there's a lot of traffic jam. Why traffic jam? The traffic is what? It's our thoughts, it's our emotions. And when these emotional trap happens, these junctions block. And when these junctions block, the hormones get imbalanced. And when these hormonal glands get affected and imbalance happens, it has a direct effect on the organs. That's how the connection of the emotions and the hormones and the organs happen. Like we could see a lot of emotional trap. Each emotion has its own vibratory signature. And when these intense emotions are felt, when we're very angry, or there's a lot of love, or we are deprived, they can become trapped in your body, much like a ball of energy. Now you could see some visuals here when the emotions are trapped, how these wavelengths and frequencies and these traps are seen in a Krillion's photography. If we have to look at our aura, when we look at our aura. See, these emotions have a pattern. Over a period of time, we would have built a pattern. Oh, I'm an angry man. I just get tensed very soon for certain things. You know, I'm very sensitive. See, we tell about a personality very, very proudly. But what happens? These patterns over a period of time starts forming traps. And if we do not address these traps, it's exactly like how this traffic jam works. You know, let's say if there is a traffic jam for about 8 hours in a major junction, what can happen? There's a lot of chaos around, but this manifestation will not happen immediately. This can take years or months to get manifested to form a disease. So basically, if you look at each of these cells, there's a research which shows every cell has a capacity to produce about 1.4 volts. Imagine we have, say, approximately 50 trillion cells. 1.4 volts into 50 trillion cells, which means our body is capable of producing 700 trillion volts of electricity. Now, this energy or electricity can be used. Now, without our awareness, these can destroy our body. With our awareness, we can use this energy to heal our body. So therefore, in energy medicine, training our body to use this energy to heal is the key. When we talk about 7 chakras, there's a lot of things which we have seen the benefits in yoga, basically the union of a mind and body. Basically, it's the body and prana when there is a union. And when you start regulating the energy, it becomes beautiful. When we are aware of how to do this, we can make use of this voltage in a better way. So just to summarize what we talked about, the emotions and the hormones and the organ function very closely related. So it's the, if you're not aware of our emotions, they can block and they can create blockages. And these blockages can manifest to the tissues and the organs around that area, from a simple neck pain to thyroid problem to any major problem. And based on where these chakras are located, where these glands are located, whenever the blockage happens, those surrounding organs get affected. And there's also a relationship between what kind of emotions are the adipati or are the source of each of these chakras. For example, when we say thyroid, it is the expression or communication. When there is a suppression of expression, it can block this chakra. When it comes to our Agna chakra or our heart chakra, where our thymus gland is located, it's a gland which handles the emotions of love, emotions related to our close people. When it comes to Manipura chakra, which is our solar plexus, where your stomach, liver, gallbladder, all are manufacturing, all our organs which are responsible for the manufacturing, or we call as manufacturing unit here. The emotions which can get trapped here are our anger, frustration, guilt, and fear. So there is a very close relationship with the Manipura chakra and our heart chakra. We have seen a lot of this during COVID. A lot of people died just because of the fear, just because of the frustration. So that's the power of the emotions or the thought. When we say thought, I mean, obviously thought, when we say thought, thought is energy, or when we say thought, when you give power to this thought, that's what becomes emotions. And these emotions are the ones which is making the energy move. So everything is energy. Your thought begins, your emotion amplifies it, and your action increases the momentum. You can see that in this picture. It can be a small thing, it's thought doesn't harm, but when you convert that into emotions and you go on focusing on that again and again, it gets amplified in the body. And when it amplifies, accordingly, the frequency changes, and it's these waves or these frequencies which has the effect on our body. So just to look at the cascade of energy, it's a thought. It all begins with thought. When you give power to thoughts, it becomes emotions. When you give importance to emotions, over a period of time, it becomes your behavior and character. And then you identify yourself with that kind of personality, and your belief system begins all from there. So that's the effect of. So when we focus on energy medicine, we do not focus on your belief pattern. We do not focus on your personality. We focus on the thought pattern. Now, these thought patterns act like signals in the body. So basically, we are what we listen, what we read, and what we've been watching all our lives. If we are in our 30s or 40s, what we've been listening and reading and watching all these years, what we've been hearing right from our birth, is what we have become today. Now, just listening to all the information, that is not affecting us. But what is affecting us is the perception which we get from these. What is the perception we, just a minute. So the perception is what we get out of what we've been hearing. People can tell 10 things, but what have I perceived it? That controls our biology. Every thought we think is creating our future. And this perception is what we call it a signal. The signals that control our gene is the bundle of perceptions what we have created. Sometimes it's, you can even say it as certificates. Somebody told me this, I am this. Somebody said I'm good at this. Somebody said I'm bad at this. And I believe, I strongly feel that this is what I am. And that gets into our memory chip, which is our genetic coding. So, so when we say mind has a control on all the other systems, that is our lymphatic system, which is, or the hormonal system or our circulatory system, that means the mind's control is coming from the prana or the energy. And this energy signaling, or how we can control the signals of this energy, that is what determines the control of the mind or the communication of the mind. So whether it is stress or depression, it is the same, it is on the same scale. Either it is on the right side of the scale or the left side of the scale, but both of them are the stress. And all these stress and depression can weaken not just your immune system, but also the nervous system, your adrenal system, oxidative stress, and lot of genetic expression. Today, what we call as autoimmune disorders, a lot of things are induced, not just from our conscious mind, but also from our subconscious mind, because this energy system has a control on your conscious, subconscious, and the unconscious mind. So if there is a stressful event, and if we appraise it, that means the first 60% of our problem is solved if we are in that awareness. Yes, I am giving permission to take this stress. I can always give permission to my body to drop that. If I do that, then stress is gone. But if I don't do that, then, and if I acknowledge the stress, I am stressful. Oh, this is causing me stress. Oh my God. Then what happens is there's a negative response gets manifested. And once this manifestation happens and this pattern begins, then the disruption in the other system begins. And that leads to many of the disease condition. So we might be the master of our own thoughts. Still, end of the day, we are the slaves of our own emotions. Nobody in this earth can become the cause of our problem, cause of our. So when we talk about lot of times, the root cause in our integrated program, we give a lot of importance to the person's emotions, what's going on in this person, what is the pattern he has built over a period of time for him to get that disease, and bringing his awareness to that and making him take that responsibility. He becomes equal responsible partner along with the doctor or the healer to take this disease under his control. So the lot of solutions here easily, I mean, there are many processes which could be used for bringing the emotional wellness among people. What we focus through various systems is the force energy pattern, what we have built so far for so many years, have to be converted into power energy. For example, when I say force energy, it's anger, hatred, dislike. This is all what we've seen right from our childhood. Even the school, our current education system talks about competition, goal. How do I surpass others and go forward, right? So all this is force energy. So consciously, if you're able to take certain decisions, then we can develop a new pattern of thoughts which can create power energy, converting those force energy, what has been built so far, into power energy, like courage, acceptance, reason, take action, love, joy, peace, right? All what is required today for the world to make the world better. So some of the systems, what we do, which could be used very well in the corporate environment or in a family environment, simple tasks which are called lymphatic activation. Because if your drainage system is very strong, if in your house, if the drainage system is good, there is less problem, there is less smell, there is no disease, hygienes are taken care of, right? So the lymphatic activation can be done through various systems like emotional freedom technique, which is a tapping system through positive affirmation, rubbing, energy shake, acupressure, swinging, affirmations, a lot of meditation techniques, a lot of therapy, massage. So all this has a very positive action on the lymphatic activation. That means basically emotional wellness. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Roopa. I think very well prepared and very nice.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I have a small question here.
Rashmi,
Dr. Roopa, actually, you had mentioned about immune system, and also you have mentioned about various glands getting affected.
Yes.
And the WHO has already declared that most of the diseases, 95% of the diseases, more than that, is psychosomatic.
Yes.
Now everybody has these emotional disturbances, and we see that it is causing an autoimmune impact on the health of the individual.
Right.
So when this autoimmune creates hazards in one's own health, it can be any of the organs. It can be thyroid. It can be, pituitary. It can be anything. Like, how does the patient understand? Is it the emotions with those glands, or is it the autoimmune system which is triggering? I understand there is a basic concept of what type of emotions a man is built in, right? There's a category, but at the same time, this autoimmune, triggers certain things to certain glands. So it's a very thin line, I understand. How do we differentiate that, and how do one get knowledge on that? I know it's a very advanced question. I just wanted to ask you on this.
Yeah, a very good question. In fact, Louis Hay has explained this very well in her book called Heal Your Life. Louis Hay, and there's also Bruce Lipton talks about control on your biology by this. Now, autoimmune is a deeper tissue problem, which is, your own body is going on strike, where the body is expected to protect you is now going on strike. It's like your own politicians, or let's say policemen who are supposed to protect you, is now, doing things which, there's a
Which
lot
is
of crime,
against.
like crime against the body. So now, if you go in the energy medicine, you will have to go deep into the kind of emotions which is played in the person's life, which may not even, we may not be able to access some of the emotional trap what this person has built, in just one conversation or a counseling. So when we take them through certain introspection and visualization, taking them through their older years, probably some traumatic experience of even their childhood, we may have to do that, and then connect that with a particular gland. And once he's able to relate to it, we just have to change the thought pattern, because somebody who's suffering from the autoimmune disorder feels himself as a victim of something. Why me? There are a lot of questions which are, why me? Why am I suffering? I'm suffering. Oh, this is what. And the doctors would have given a lot of jargons, this syndrome, that syndrome. And his belief pattern would be believing that he's got so and so. Now, when you take him through a thought process, and you can always tell him that a new signaling can be formed, and once the connection, we're able to connect to him and identify the root cause of the pattern, it becomes easy, because you're not changing the, the process is not beginning at the place of inflammation which the person is suffering from, but your healing begins at the signaling level, and slowly the healing begins. Like as you saw,
it is reversible.
It's reversible. It's reversible. In fact, if you see very rare stories, but there are a lot of stories where people have had brain tumors in between the, the brain, where even the surgery could not be approached, but one PET scan and the next PET scan, there has been a wonder, just because somebody believes that, he's not going to believe in it, or he may not even go into chemotherapy.
Are they susceptible to reoccurrence also once they are, all right?
See, it's completely reflection of your mind. Sometimes, most of the time, there is always a tug of war. Sometimes I feel, oh yeah, I'll be all right. But more than me feeling all right, if my emotions are questioning, am I going to be all right? Is this really going to work? What is the stronger emotion which is driving you? So a person, but once a person has seen a healing within him with smaller ailments, reaching reversal for any larger ailment is not a question. But then obviously there's always a